Hello, and again welcome back. Lead level designer Eli Platt here, talking about Second Chance Heroes. Today we're in 1152, also known as the World of Spending Part 2. At this point in the story of the game, you've already attempted to distract the zombies. Now you're going to attempt to restrain them, or constrain them, rather, with robots from the security center of the mall. And, let me toggle off a few visual things here. So in this level, if I'll give you a nice little overview of it, this level is actually really interesting. It's one of the older levels in the entire game as far as when it was produced in the production pipeline. It is also a level that was originally designed for a different style of gameplay. At one point we wanted different styles of gameplay in the mall instead of just, well, not even in the mall, in the whole game. Instead of just this sort of a, where you come in with, train of thought. We wanted to have different levels be different styles of gameplay. Some levels be like a timed gauntlet, some levels be a race, some levels be a dungeon, but we really liked the dungeon and decided to settle on that. But when this level was built, it was originally going to be this timed gauntlet here in this part, where you came down out of the safe room, down the hall, into this sort of middle space here, and then your job was to defend zombies from breaking barricades. One barricade here, second barricade here, and the third barricade here. And those objects I just selected were actually all animated at some point in time, and they're now static models. They wouldn't animate even if I told them to. I'd have to replace the models and then script them in. And the way you fought zombies were some zombies would leap over, other zombies would drop in anyway. You were trying to defend the area so that the survivors could come out of the safe room area and get into this elevator here, which at one point in time you would have been able to get into, but we dropped that functionality as well. And then up top here, we're going to be kitchen store area to revive the kitchen barricade, which is this one over here, I believe. Then you had a clothing store section to get things to revive the clothing store barricade, and then the easiest barricade, this one here, I think was the furniture store to get furniture to cover the furniture barricade. And so you were doing this relay race and then defending the bottom. And ultimately, we actually never even scripted it out. At some point before the scripting began, we decided we weren't going to go in that sort of direction, and instead we decided to extend the level. So what we did to preserve the geometry of this level instead of just scrapping the whole thing is now you come out of there. I'm just going to highlight a path, and then I'll fly through it, and you come and you circle all the way around. And then we built this extra part over here, so you actually get to go down and out of the front, and this was all intended as scenery originally. But now you come out, you're confronted with this giant abyss, which, like the last level, is really the first time you've seen just, endless abyss from this perspective. And you come across this bridge to this set piece here, this ominous, as I zoom out, security center of the mall, which is like this giant, like, black NSA security type building that is built in the mall of mall pieces. They're all store windows and things, so it's kind of like being silly. It's building this giant skyscraper basically in the abyss out of black windows to make it look like this thing. But when you're ultimately done with the encounter, and there's an interesting little sort of semi-Easter egg here that I'll get to in a minute. When you're done with the encounter, you get up top and there's this slacker pad basically on top with a computer and a television and pop cans and a vending machine, where the security guy Norman, the head security guard, he's been given all these resources to be this sort of like super mall cop, and it's kind of all that sort of nonsense where like mall cops have this self-inflated sense of importance, which is why we went with the giant NSA center, when really ultimately at the end of the day he's overseeing things from this slacker pad on the roof instead of actually being this shadowy suitcase and sunglasses type figure. So let me do my fly through really quick, even though I just pretty much described the whole level to you. You start out in the safe room, you come on down, head out into this open area, up the escalator, around the top, fight some evil robots, you come back down the escalator, and up the hall to the security office, where you fight the boss. And originally this boss, when it was first designed, Since this level wasn't originally intending to have a boss, you just fought the gauntlet and rescued the survivors, we sort of invented this encounter around fighting giant waves of robots and then heading up top, and originally there were guns that popped out of these walls, and those assets were all built, but they were built out of stuff you'll see later in the bunker that was recycled, so they're not really anything you haven't seen before, even though they're no longer used. There was a lot of mechanical issues with getting those to pop out and shoot players and be reasonable, at least at the time this was in production. And so we never actually went with the guns. Instead, we went with it raining crates down from the ceiling. And then ultimately we recycled, what's his name? See, I had all the destructible objects off, so the level was looking kind of barren the first time I flew through it. You see if I toggle them. All the destructible objects and unique monsters. Anyway, you fight Dr. Nearzite. And Dr. Nearzite was actually designed for a level that was cut out of the game, but as a boss creature, he was finished, along with most of his animations and attacks. And so, when we decided to drop some of those levels out of the mall, we were able to preserve Dr. Nearzite. The obstetrician, an eye doctor, basically. And so, later on, since he was half robot anyway, we decided, let's throw Dr. Nearzite in this battle. He's actually, and so he's kind of an Easter egg that he shows up here at all. He's also kind of an Easter egg in that he's the only real creature in the game that has like no voice acting at all. Because when we decided to put him in was already after we'd voiced everything, and so he's a sort of a silent, well, not protagonist, but you know what I mean. He's a silent figure in the game that shows up and in this encounter, and that is why. So there we go. The not mandatory fun zone, that's level 1. The no justice like mall justice / world of spending part 2. Let me just give you some neat perspectives here, so you can sort of get a sense of the size and shape of the level. This level was built by me, Eli Platt. I don't really know who scripted it. I didn't come back. I did some scripting in the last level to clean up things and fix bugs, but I didn't really significantly script this level at all. Not even for bugs. Actually I did. I came in, I added Dr. Nearzite, and I rebalanced the last fight a little bit and fixed a few bugs in there. And it's actually quite scary with the scripting. I'll get into it. I'll do a separate video about the scripting and how the scripting engine works. But yeah, so there we go. Alright, see you in the next video.